Good evening and welcome. This is the January 24th, 2024 public hearing of the Land Use Commission. The City Code directs this body to hear applications for map and text amendments, special uses including plan developments, zoning relief, and appeals from decisions of the zoning administrator, as well as to make recommendations regarding the city's long-term planning goals and objectives. Depending on the type of matter, this commission will either make a final determination or send its recommendation to City Council. Ms. Jones, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Aravallo?
Here.
Commissioner Halleck?
Here.
Commissioner Hugo? Commissioner Linwall?
Here.
Commissioner Wodenchev?
Here.
Commissioner Puctel?
Here.
Commissioner Westerberg?
Here.
Chair Rogers?
Here. So with 7 members present, we do have a quorum. Also present tonight from city staff are Neighborhood and Land Use Planner Megan Jones and Zoning Administrator Melissa Klotz. This is a formal hearing. There are rules that govern our proceedings. Most importantly, only one person speaks at a time so that all testimony may be accurately recorded. Anyone who wishes to address the commission regarding any matter on tonight's agenda will have the opportunity to do so at the appropriate time. Our procedure is to hear from the staff on the documents on file and then receive testimony and other evidence from the applicant or appellant. After that, persons wishing to make a statement regarding the matter will have a chance to do so. Any person with a legal interest in property located within the defined notification requirements of the subject property may present evidence, reasonably question witnesses, or seek a continuance of the hearing. When all supporting and opposing testimony and statements have been heard, the applicant or appellant will be given the opportunity for a rebuttal or a closing statement. Then the commission will close the record and begin deliberations to consider the standards. The commission will make formal findings of fact based on the testimony and evidence presented, guided by the standards, commissioners' knowledge of the community, and the recommendations of staff. All testimony is taken under oath. Although we do not apply the strict rules of evidence, please limit your testimony to the proposal as it relates to the standards contained in the zoning ordinance and the corresponding staff memorandum. When testifying, please state your name and address for the record and sign in on the provided public comment sheet. Our meetings are audio and video recorded. Please make sure that you are at a microphone when asking questions or making statements so that you can be properly recorded. All proceedings are subject to broadcast at a later date. Any matter not concluded at tonight's hearing will be continued to our next regularly scheduled meeting. On tonight's agenda, we have one matter, which is old business for 2649 Crawford Avenue. And that's 23 ZMJV 0070, and the applicant I see is here. So that's the only issue that we have tonight. The first item, though, on our agenda is the approval of our minutes. We have minutes from January 10th, 2024 that are not available yet at this point. Is that correct? Okay, so we'll have those at our next meeting. So we'll move right into the matter of old business. It's already been read into the record, and this is a continuation of our meeting from the 10th. Was it from the 10th? And so at this point, I'll just ask the applicant if you'd like to come up and just briefly run through the changes you've made to the proposal based on discussion at the last meeting.
Yes, Michelle Walker and Dan Nelson. We listened to everything you said, and we had the architect redraw the site plan accordingly, and I think, and that's what it is.
Just a quick question for staff. This hasn't triggered anything new.
It has not. The applicant was able to fit everything requested by the commission and meet zoning regulations. There is just over 10 feet between the garage and the residence. The typical 5-foot interior side yard setback that would apply to the main structure if it were there, and the driveway has been reduced a little bit to the maximum 25 feet width that Public Works allows.
All right.
And given all of that, staff now does recommend approval.
All right. Are there any questions from commissioners? Hearing none, I'll just say, is there anything you'd like to say in summation before we begin deliberation?
Only thank you. We're really appreciative. We are happy. We needed a help getting a path, and we're so thankful that you helped us kind of shape it and get us there.
All right, thank you. I will note that there's one other person in the room. I don't know if you're here to speak on this matter or, okay. So with that, I will close public testimony. Thank you very much. And we will go through our deliberation of standards in order to find that this is in order to approve this, we must find that there are standards that are met. I'm looking for those standards right now. They're on the screen. Number one is that the practical difficulty is not self-created. In looking at this, I suppose I should ask if there are any thoughts from commissioners before I go through the standards, but I think we've all kind of hashed this out at the last meeting, and the applicant has moved in the direction that we basically recommended for everything. So unless there's any opposition, I'll just go into the standards. Number one being the practical difficulty is not self-created. This is a house which does not have an attached garage or a detached garage on the property. It's also an odd shape. It's more of a triangle than a traditional rectangle or square. And there's been nothing that this owner has done that has created this particular situation. It's more so the situation that exists on this particular property. Number two, the requested variation will not have a substantial adverse impact on the use, enjoyment, or property values of adjoining properties. We are looking at basically putting a garage in a front yard, but because of the uniqueness of this particular property and the neighboring properties, I don't believe that we've not heard any testimony from the neighbor who would be most directly impacted. So I have no reason to believe that this would have a substantial adverse impact on the neighboring properties, so that standard is met. Number three, the requested variation is in keeping with the comprehensive general plan and the zoning ordinance. The zoning ordinance and comprehensive plan do make provisions for people to have garages to provide for off-street parking, especially on busier streets like this one. So being able to get cars off of the street and onto the individual property owners' properties makes sense and does seem to be consistent with both the comp plan and the zoning ordinance. Number four, the requested variation is consistent with the preservation policy set forth in the comprehensive general plan. We haven't had testimony to this. I don't really believe that there is anything that falls under this one. And number five, the requested variation requires the least deviation from the applicable regulation among the feasible options identified before the zoning administrator issues his/her decision regarding the variation. This issue came to us a couple of weeks ago. We sort of felt at that point that it really didn't meet this particular standard in particular, and so the applicant was willing to work with an architect in order to listen to the concerns of this commission and to make changes, and luckily they were able to do that with a provision or with a situation they're happy with, and also addresses a number of the concerns that we had. So I believe that standard is met. Is there any other things people want to bring up on the standards? Is everyone in agreement with my findings?
Yeah, not on the standards, but I just wanted to compliment you, and I should have done it last time, but you said you did a lot of work on the house. It really shows. It's really nice, really, really nice. From the outside, that's all I can tell. And secondly, I'm glad that you widened the garage. You're going to be happier.
It's a really beautiful home. Like, we're very fortunate to be able to restore it and
All right. That having gone through the standards, is there a motion?
Sure. With respect to the case involving 2649 Crawford Avenue, 23 ZMJV-0070, I move that the Land Use Commission grant the variation to allow the construction of the detached garage within the front yard. I think, because we don't have any other variations, right?
Right, but this is also overturning a decision from the zoning administrator.
And overturning the zoning administrator's original denial of the variation request.
All right, it's been moved by Commissioner Westerberg. Is there a second?
No,
I'm sorry,
Lindenwald.
Commissioner Lindwall. I was looking for
It's okay, she can second.
I will second. I
Commissioner
think it-
Westerberg is seconding.
I think it should just be noted for the record that this is not an overturning of the zoning administrator's decision on anything erroneous. It's simply that new information has now been placed in front of the board.
All right, thank you. Is there any further discussion before taking a vote? Seeing none, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Aravallo?
Yes.
Commissioner Halleck? Yes. Commissioner Hugo? Oops, sorry, I'm not here. Commissioner Linwall?
Yes.
Commissioner Murinchev?
Yes.
Commissioner Pocatello?
Yes.
Commissioner Westerberg?
Yes.
Chair Rogers?
Yes, so with 7 votes in favor and none against, the project is approved. And so you can work with city staff on what the next steps will be moving through the process. Other items that we have on our agenda are communications. Does staff have any communications for us?
I think there's a question that was probably coming my way.
Sorry, I didn't know that was my cue. So I understand that on February 7th, we're going to hear a presentation on the comprehensive plan status.
Yes, we are
And-
planning to have HDR come in. They will do a presentation, but it'll also be a discussion, so there will be some back and forth. We're anticipating getting your feedback on some items, and they'll have some, I'm assuming, like leading questions as it relates to
Are we,
the comp plan and zoning.
are we going to get those leading questions in advance?
I can see if they will have those in advance.
That would be, I think,
Yeah.
helpful to,
Okay.
for the commission.
Yeah, I can see if they'll have those in advance.
Is there, just like we get advanced information on every case that comes before us, is there any, anything that we can get, any materials that we can get to look at before their presentation, so we're not seeing it for the first time?
I can see if they'll have a finished or just about finished presentation around the time that we would be
Yeah.
normally seeing.
I think it
everything. So
helps.
That seems reasonable.
Because then we can have questions, and otherwise you're seeing it for the first time, it's kind
Right.
of tough.
Yeah, I can see if they can have some materials that you can look at and review ahead of time.
Okay.
Did you say that was February 7th?
February 7th,
Thanks.
Wednesday, yep.
I will not be here at that meeting, so Commissioner Pocatello will be chairing that meeting.
Is there any, excuse me, is there anything else, any other items that are going to be on that agenda?
No,
Good.
it would be just that.
Any other communications from staff? All right, we do have a section for public comment. This is a section for any member of the public to address this body on any land use issues. If anybody would like to do so. Seeing none, we now move to adjournment. So I'll ask if there's a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn until February 7th.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? And we do stand adjourned until February 7th at 7 PM in council chambers.